Welcome to the Success Talk Show, the podcast for ambitious leaders who want to get their best results and create a workplace for their teams to thrive. Each week, we share practical advice to help you accelerate your success and grow as an inspiring leader. Now, here's your host, Leadership Success Coach, Donna Siriani.
Welcome to another episode of the Success Talk Show. This is Donna Siriani, Leadership Success Coach and founder of Success Compass Academy. Now, if you're listening for the first time, welcome. I'd like to just take a minute to introduce myself, and then we'll dig right into today's episode. I've spent my entire career in technology. I started off as a programmer right out of college, worked my way up to senior leadership roles in technology organizations, managing teams across the US, Europe, and Asia. But after 35 years in technology, I left those corporate roles behind to become a full-time leadership success coach and consultant. So now I help leaders accelerate growth, both for themselves personally and for their organizations, while creating a workplace for their teams to thrive. So my focus is all about how to help you be more successful, accelerate growth in your career, get your best results, and really raise the game for you and your teams. So if what you're thinking about today as you listen to this episode is how you can feel more passion and energy for what you do, you've come to the right place, because I'm going to share with you a formula, a step-by-step formula for how you can clarify what your top 5 passions are and some steps you can take to move toward those passions, spend more time on them. Now, I know for myself through the years, whenever the subject of discovering your passions, spending more time on them, I always really equated it to hobbies and personal interests. Maybe think about things like traveling, gardening, music, right? I'd always think, how can following your passions actually lead you to any clarity in your professional life, right? I really didn't understand how that worked. So I'm going to share a formula with you today. But what I've learned is that when you get really clear about your top 5 passions and you put more time and attention on them, it's like adding rocket fuel to your own satisfaction and fulfillment. And of course, your energy. So when you think about being clear about your top 5 passions, right, instead of it just being maybe a joyful activity, it actually helps you feel more energized about your work when you can see how your passions and your work intersect. And I'm going to share lots of examples with you on that in a minute. You'll feel more energized about your work if you know that the things you're working on are things you have passion for. And when you feel more passion and energy, it's contagious to everyone around you. The people that work for you, your colleagues, your boss, your clients, other people that you work with. It's contagious. When you step into the workplace and basically you're on fire, right? You're loving what you're doing. It raises the game for everybody else, right? It makes a big difference. Now, when you also feel more satisfied with your contribution, it propels you to get even better results. By knowing what you're passionate about and then putting your attention on those things, you're also serving as an inspiring role model for others. You're modeling that behavior. Years ago when I first started off in technology, and really for quite a long time, everything was nose to the grindstone, working a lot of hours, and just pushing, sometimes not even taking a lunch break, just grab lunch quickly if I even ate lunch, working through lunch, not taking breaks, just push, push, push. And at the end of the week, feeling pretty burnt out. And it's taken a really long time for me to realize that the way to have a greater fulfillment at work is to nourish yourself, take breaks, indulge in your passions, because that's what's going to make you feel that level of energy, whether it's creativity, being productive, having that mental energy that you need to really do your best, right? Ignoring your passions is a big mistake, because then you're missing out on a great source of energy. So the only caveat I would say is that I believe your passions are only one piece of the puzzle. The other elements are your strengths, what you're good at, your values, which is what's important to you, your personal brand, what you want to be known for, your vision, etc. There's a whole set of elements that in combination together, they form a compass that guide you in the direction that's the best fit for you, your ideal career path. Choices, when you're thinking about different career options, I really look at all of those things as coming together to point you in a direction. But for today, we're just focused on one element, which is your passions. Now, by passions, I mean how you're living your life. Passion isn't necessarily a goal with a deadline, right? So what I want to do is I'm going to illustrate what your passions could be. Now, step one, I'm going to walk you through a step-by-step formula, and I'm going to start you off. Let's get going. I'm going to start you off with step one. Brainstorm a list of at least 10 responses to the question, when my life is ideal, I am fill in the blank. Now, when you brainstorm this list, I want you to think big, be aspirational. Don't stop yourself from writing down something because you're thinking, oh, I have no idea how I'll make that happen. It's too unrealistic. For now, just focus on the what. What is it? Not how you're going to make it happen. Okay. Now, again, all these years of my career, when I heard people talk about passions, I always thought about really interests and hobbies, and it can be that. But there's this whole dimension of you and your personality and what you contribute, what you bring to the workplace, which is this whole professional side. And often what I see is that my clients, out of their top 5 passions, 2 or 3, if not more, are directly related to their professional satisfaction. So I'm going to list at least 10 or 15 examples just to give you an idea of what I'm talking about. So you're going to brainstorm a list of 10, but I'm going to share with you some examples of what some of my clients have said in answer to that question. So when my life is ideal, I am doing intellectually stimulating work. I'm using my experience to solve complex problems. I'm recognized for my contributions and achievements. I'm designing new creative ways to solve problems. I'm engaged and challenged in dynamic conversations and debates. I'm learning new things. I'm working on interesting projects. I'm connecting with people. I'm creating something new. I'm participating in cutting-edge technology and solving our customers' problems. I'm developing myself through books, conferences, and classes. I'm using my organizational and analytical skills to drive the success of groups and individuals. I'm teaching and mentoring eager professionals on personal leadership. I'm cultivating deep relationships with people who are smart and accomplished, full of integrity, and making a difference. I'm viewed as an expert and sought out for my advice. Okay, so those are actual passions that many of my clients have stated when they've identified their top 5. So I share them with you, not for you to necessarily feel a burden that those need to be yours, but just to give you some idea of what a passion can sound like. There's no judgment. It's whatever bubbles up for you when you do your brainstorming. Lots of other examples have been people wanting to teach, mentor, giving presentations, standing in front of the room, giving an inspiring talk. So there's lots and lots of examples. It's only important that it be something that resonates with you. And when you think about your ideal life, you're imagining yourself spending a lot more time doing that. Okay. Now, on the personal side, it's much easier to imagine what those examples could be. You know, when my life is ideal, I am traveling to new places. I'm living by the ocean. I'm reading and learning about politics, trends, and culture. I regularly perform or experience music that brings peace, love, and joy to the world. I'm surrounded by music. I host dinner parties regularly. I play my guitar every week. So these are, again, examples that I pulled from past clients just to get you started. Now, this part of the exercise or the formula, that might only take you 10 or 15 minutes to do a quick brainstorm. Now, step 2 is once you have that list, evaluate them and identify your top 5 and rank order them. Now, let's say you made a pretty long list. You could do a pair comparison to compare each one, right, to all the rest of the list until you come up with your top 5. Now, what I want to caution you on is be careful not to order them based on what you think you should have as your priorities. Now, you probably want to put your family and friends up high on the list. Now, that's okay. That's where they maybe should be. But I want you to listen to your gut reaction when you look at the list, because so often I see people put at the top of the list, I'm providing for my family, I'm spending time with my wife and kids or my husband and kids, I'm financially independent so I can take care of my family. I want you to feel like you don't have to have any of that on the list. This is about getting in touch with what makes your heart sing, what your passions are. Of course, you're a good spouse, partner, mother, father, brother, sister. Of course you are. This isn't about anybody else but you. So I don't want you to feel like you're a bad person if you don't have your family on the list, right? So rank order them. Now, when you have your top 5, the next step, step 3, is on a scale of 1 to 10. How satisfied are you that you're fully living each passion today? Give each one a score, and then consider if that score actually reflects the attention that you've been putting on that passion. So for example, let's say you have a passion for learning, but lately you haven't been taking any courses, you haven't read a new book in a long time, haven't attended conferences. You might give it a 1 because you really haven't been putting any attention on it. It might be clear to you that that's the case. So we'll get to it in a minute. You might want to ask yourself, so what can you do to start making progress? We'll get to that next. But I want to share with you a quote that really has stayed with me for several years. This process I'm walking you through is called the passion test. It's a piece of it. Can't go through the whole thing in this episode, but I'm giving you the first steps to get you started. But Janet Bray Atwood and Chris Atwood developed the passion test, and they have a book out by that name. And I got certified in that process so that I would know how to take my clients through it in great detail and really to understand and recognize when something might really need to be focused on when I'm coaching a client. And so I do this passion test with my clients all the time. You can do it on your own, but there's great value in doing it with a coach. So I do walk people through this quite often. But here's the quote that I want to share with you. What you put your attention on grows stronger in your life. Every day, you're creating your experience of what your life is based on what you put your attention on. So when you look at the list of your top 5 passions and you score them from 1 to 10, and now these are the top 5 things that you're saying, when my life is ideal, I am, right? Fill in the blank. So if you're not spending, if you see that out of those top 5 passions, maybe 3 or 4 of them, you're scoring them under 5, like you're giving them a 1, a 2, a 3, you may see that you're not putting much attention or focus on them. Now, if something scored really high, let's say out of your top 5 passions, you've got a few where they're scoring 8, 9, or 10. That's fantastic. Congratulations. Something that is so important to you that's got that high a score, I'm guessing you're probably putting a lot of attention on it. So that's fantastic. What you put your attention on grows stronger in your life. So if you want to feel more satisfied and fulfilled, what are the passions that you've listed that actually do align with your professional life? Maybe a couple of them do align directly. I've given you lots of examples my other clients have come up with. Now, the next question you want to ask yourself is, what steps can you take to improve your scores and move the needle? I use the example of you have a passion for learning, but you haven't really been taking, any courses, reading any new books. It's something you just haven't spent a lot of time on. So you can ask yourself, what is a step you could take in the coming week to increase the score from a 1 to a 2 or to a 3 or even a 4, right? Like, what could you do? Because now this is the beauty of this exercise. You now have identified the top 5 things that when you're fully living those passions, you're going to feel as though you're living your ideal life, and you'll be looking for evidence that you're actually doing it. Okay? Now, let me give you another example. One of the professional ones that I mentioned a minute ago is When my life is ideal, I am recognized for my contributions and achievements. So let's say you scored pretty low on that and you're wondering, what could I do to move the needle on that? So I have two questions for you. One, are you making your contributions and achievements visible? Do people know about the good work you're doing? Or are you in your office, at your desk, kind of the best kept secret, you're cranking it out, but nobody really knows what you're working on? So have you made it visible? Do others in the organization know that, geez, you solved this really complex problem, came up with a creative solution for the client is thrilled, they've signed up or renewed their contract? This is an example, right? So either something you've worked on or your team has worked on. Have you been shining a spotlight on those things so that others can actually see it, show appreciation, and give you that recognition that you're looking for, right? Do you need to increase the visibility of your work and your team's work? Okay, so that could be part of it. That could be part of your next step. Now, the other question I want to ask you is, how are you recognizing the contributions and achievements of others in your organization? It's not a one-way street. If you want to receive more recognition, what can you do to do the same for others, right? Recognition has an enormous impact on engagement, so it's time well spent. I'm just using this as an example. When I think about what you can do to improve your score, it may be what you can do for yourself, what you could do for others, right? So think it through and see where you want to put your attention. So step number 4 was identify the steps you can take to improve your scores and move the needle. Now, step number 5 is really to revisit your passions regularly. You want to put them someplace visible. It could be on your phone, your laptop, on a bulletin board, in your wallet, wherever you want. But you want to have your passions where you can see them and have them inspire you as to how you want to improve your focus, put more attention on them. And as you plan your week after week, when you plan the days ahead, make sure that you're spending time on those top 5 passions, because that's what's going to fuel and help you feel that passion and energy for what you do. Now, if you say, well, wait a minute, none of my passions, it turned out when I did this, none of my passions are really work related. Okay. Well, I can't tell you how many times I've coached someone where they actually really like what they do at work. They like their company. They like their coworkers. They really don't want to change jobs, but something's missing. They're feeling like things are lackluster. They're not feeling the passion and energy they wish they did. Something's missing. Can't really put their finger on it, but not feeling the love, right? Just feeling kind of down. Okay, well, when you look at your passions, this could be outside of work, when you're actually investing the time and energy to do the things that relate to your passions, to fully live them, that passion and energy can spill over into your work. I was recently thinking about a situation when I was executive director of our global client operations organization, and I was pretty burnt out. I was really working many hours, really feeling burnt out. And I started to make the shift of putting more time and energy into things outside of work. Makes sense, right? It's common sense, right? You can really burn out if you don't do that. But anyway, I finally started making the shift. And one of my directors came to me and said, Donna, I don't know what you're doing, but keep it up. I see such a big difference in you, right? I was showing up at work, feeling passionate, energized, a lot more creative. It was just visibly obvious, the old Donna and the new Donna, right? So I can't emphasize enough that even if we're talking about passions that are related more to your personal life, don't underestimate the impact that can have when you show up at work. Because when you are in a positive mood, that is when you will have greater creativity and it will help you in problem solving. And again, your moods are contagious in the office, so it's going to help all the way around. I'm going to talk more about that in a second, but I want you, step 5 is to revisit your passions at least every 6 months, because as you learn and grow and have new experiences, your passions may change. I'm just going to tell you, for me personally, for many years, my number one passion was to travel internationally in first class. Okay. Remember, I was thinking aspirational, right? It doesn't have to be realistic. Like when my life is ideal, I'm traveling internationally in first class. But now, after living in France and Singapore, having responsibility for the Asia region, traveling to 34 countries through the years, my appetite for international travel is taking a back seat to other areas of my life. So that's no longer my number one passion. So the reason I share this with you is you're not making a commitment that this list of 5 these are the 5 forever. You'll want to, every 6 months, go through these exact same steps, brainstorm a list, come up with the top 5, and see what's shifted for you. Okay, that's important. Now, I started to mention that when you do something that puts you in a good mood, those positive emotions, I started to talk about how that can really have an effect for you. And one thing that you can do, and you could do this, on a daily or weekly basis, is look at your week, look at your calendar, look ahead to see what you have that you're going to be working on. And if you've got a particular assignment or project that you're going to be working on that could really benefit from greater creativity and better problem-solving abilities, schedule time just prior to that to spend some time on one of your top 5 passions. Now, what this can do for you is it instantly puts you in a good mood, and so all those positive emotions, they spill over. And based on neuroscience, and this is from, I did attend a neuro leadership summit in New York and got lots of great tips from the neuroscientists that presented. And Josh Davis, who wrote the book 2 Awesome Hours, he shared that when you do something that puts you in a good mood, plan on working on a task that requires creativity and problem solving right afterwards when positive emotions are high, right? You're going to see a big difference. And you can use that strategy all week, right? So depends on what your passions are. Now, one of my passions is snowboarding. I can't do that during the work week, but sometimes I can, right, when I'm off on the mountain. But give this some thought and see what you can do and where you can make a shift in your own work life, all right? So hopefully these steps were helpful to you. I do want to mention that if you would like a daily success tip, I'd love for you to follow me over on Instagram, and I'd love to see you over there. It's D. Sirianni. I post one success tip every day and would love to engage with you over there on Instagram. And also, if you would like to download the personal branding framework, which has the different elements of the Success Compass that I talked about earlier, you can go to my website, donnasirianni.com, and on the homepage, there's a personal branding framework PDF that's free, and you can just download it there, and that will give you a series of steps that you can take. Really, the whole goal of this is to accelerate your progress and for you to feel a lot more satisfied and fulfilled with what you do. So anyway, I hope that you found this episode helpful. If you did find it helpful, I'd love to hear from you. You could leave me a rating, a review, or a comment over on the iTunes page. Anyway, I wish you all the success and have a great day.